Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Disgustingly Resilient podcast and the first Infection Critical of the new book coming out. I hope you guys are excited as I am to see what lists are doing well for Death Guard right now. And yeah, let's get straight into it. But a quick reminder, if you do enjoy the content, please do leave a like and a subscribe, or consider becoming a Plague Marine, Blight Lord / Death Shroud member. It really helps out the channel. You get access to Discord, giveaways, which we currently got one on, giving away some of the new GW Death Guard dice. So if you want to get in there, we've got a couple packs of those to give away, so consider it. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of why you're here. So, what is doing well? Well, what is this first? Let's go through that. So, Infection Critical, for those who don't know, is a bi-weekly video. We try to do it once every 2 weeks. Might do it more frequently just because of how exciting times are at the moment, where we basically look at the best Death Guard performing lists of the week. So anyone that's gone to these big events and done really well, we're going to try and showcase those off. We're going to look at the units and the lists that they're taking, the detachment and some of the decisions they make, and try and figure out why that list is working so well. And to try and keep things fresh so we don't keep repeating ourselves, do bear in mind that we're going to try and cover a variety of detachments each week. So we're not just going to look at, 4 Virulent Vectoriums. We're going to look at like 1 of that, 2 of another, maybe another 1 of something else. So you might not always see the first place list for every single one, but we're going to always make sure we do include some first places, but then some of the highest placing lists for the lesser performing detachments. Because there are other people out there that are, very much into competitive play, but like to do things their own way and like to try and do it with a detachment that they love rather than a detachment that is meh. So we will cover that. So, first up this week, we've got our very own Cass Kelly Burke, who's from the Bloodbath Tactics podcast, so you can go check those guys out as well. It's really good content. Check them out on the YouTubes. He went 5-0 with Hammer Time Mayhem. Funny play on word. 45 player event. He actually got second place, undefeated, unfortunately lost out on first place. I think it was due to battle points, potentially, or it could be win path, but still undefeated, claiming second place. Excellent work, mate. Now, he was rocking a Virulent Vectorium. He's rocking very similar list to what I run, just one small change to it. So he's got the Demon Prince of Nurgle with the Revolting Regeneration. This is going to be the toughest lone up character in the game. He's toughness 12, 2 up save, 4 up invulnerable, and now that enhancement's bringing him that 5 up feel no pain. This guy, lone up on a center objective, just demands an answer from your opponent. They either send out a 3 unit to contest the objective, which you then kill for free, or they have to try and commit a horrendous amount to try and kill him, which you can then punch back quite hard into. Then we've got our classic Biologist Putrefier Malignant Plaguecaster pairing. They'll be coming with the 10 Plague Marines we'll cover soon. Obviously, these go really well together. The Biologist Putrefier brings the 5+ crits for the squad, plus giving every single weapon lethal hits. And then the Plaguecaster brings in the sustained hits when shooting at a target or meleeing a target within affliction range. So you've got 5 up lethal sustains on the entire squad. Really, really powerful. Super good in this detachment, especially when you combine it with the 1 command point stratagem to give the squad 4 rolls to hit and wound in the shooting phase against a unit that is in afflicted range. So now you are lethal crit, lethal sustained, crit 5s, 4 rolls to hit and wound. You can kill so many things with one activation of that unit. It's really powerful. Now, we got a Lord of Virulence as well coming in with it. I've put that wrong. It's Lord of Contagion. That should have the Furnace of Plagues. My apologies there. So the Lord of Contagion has the Furnace of Plagues. That's the +1 strength, +1 attack, and dev wounds. So don't mess that up like I did. Makes him an absolute beat stick of a monster. This guy is now on to 6 attacks, strength 10 with lance as well. So most vehicles in the game, like main tanks, are toughness 10. You walk up to them, drop them down to T9. Your strength 10 with lance. So you're now wounding them on 2s, which is insane, at flat 3 damage each one. And obviously then you've got like sustained lethal on top of that, but you've also got the chance to just dev wound people for flat 3 damage at a time. The guy is an absolute powerhouse. I have ran him with 3 Death Shrouds so many times, and most of the time you'll make a charge into a vehicle and the Death Shroud won't even get to swing. The Lord of Contagion will kill it on his own. Super, super powerful unit. Then we've got a Lord of Virulence, which does not have the enhancement. Apologies. Lord of Virulence is going to be sitting more than likely with Big Squad of Death Shroud if he plays it like I do. This guy is here to obviously give support to the army. Any target he picks, your entire army is going to get reroll 1s to hit against. And if it's a blast weapon, which, surprise, surprise, we'll see some blast weapons shortly, they're going to get full hit rerolls against it. So you can fish, or you can just reroll anything that's not a 1 or a 2, anything that doesn't hit. So really, really powerful ability. We like that. Also has the ability to give his squad the full rerolls to wound and shooting. And with Death Shroud and all those flamers, plus the fact that he has his own flamer, makes him a really, really nasty Overwatch brick. And when they get into that center point, again, if they're playing with a 6-man especially, you've got this Demon Prince on the center point who's blown up and already hard to deal with. Nightmare for your opponent. Then, after they try and deal with him and probably lose most of their army to do so, then these 6 Death Shroud come out. They can then stand on the center objective after killing whatever killed the Demon Prince. And now they sit there with their most horrendous Overwatch in the world, rerolling everything on the wound roll if they want to, whilst also just being this massive chunk unit their opponent has to now deal with. And chances are your opponent's not going to be able to deal with both the Demon Prince and then the 6-man brick, one after the other. Works really well that way. And then a bit of innovation here. So Cass has actually taken a Typhus instead of one of the Haulers, which we'll get to. Typhus still is really good. He's still a deep striking action monkey. He can jump in, do actions, still put his mortal wounds out. It's really nice. He's still a flat 3 damage weapon. He's still T7, 2 up, 4 up, 6 wounds. So he's not that easy to kill. And he's just small base, only 50 millimeters, so it's easy for him to deep strike where he needs to be, score yourself some actions, or just put mortal wounds onto some really hard to kill targets. You know, the amount of times I've had shooting leave a tank on 1 wound, I'm like, oh, I'm all out of shooting, and then there's Typhus about to do his action, and I'm like, cool, you can also do the mortal wounds and finish that thing off. So I actually like the Typhus include here. It's quite a nice unit, and it just gives you that more flexibility, because again, he's got that deep strike as well. And Typhus can also solo threaten an opponent's objective if they've left it sort of like uncontested. Don't be surprised, you know, a 9-inch charge off Typhus sometimes makes it, and then he'll kill 5 guys off an objective, especially now he's +1 attack. So, you know, that's also not a bad use for him as well. So, onto the actual units. We've got this squad of 10-man Plague Marines rocking the 3 plasma guns, 2 heavy blight launchers, 2 spewers, power fist, and 3 heavy plague weapons on that squad. So this squad has insane shooting capacity. You got 2 blight launchers, 3 plasma guns, then you got the biology putrefies grenades in there. All of these are going to be lethal sustaining on 5s to hit. You're going to reroll everything that isn't a 5 because it's just so much more powerful. Then you're also going to follow that up with 3 torrent weapons, one being the Plague Caster's D3 damage flamer, and you've also got 2 spewers which can fully roll to wound as well. Incredible shooting unit. You really need to practice this unit a few times because it is kind of squishy, but also the problem is the amount of times I have overkilled when I could have killed an extra unit as well by split firing. You have to get down the maths on how good the split firing can be, but it's an incredibly scary unit and it will punish a lot of armies. Obviously this has a Rhino to ride alongside him because you don't want these guys foot slogging. Even with T6, a walking Plague Marine is a dead Plague Marine. That has not changed. Now, I've also got a unit of 2 Chaos Spawn. They're great in this detachment because you can give them the extra Plague aura, the extra contagion range from the stratagem, for which the Demon Prince can potentially use for 1 command point here. Again, don't forget the Demon Prince is also giving out -1 CP cost to stratagem, so -1 damage on himself or that big 6-man Death Shroud brick. You've also got ability to extend contagion range for your entire army by 3 for 1 CP now. Really powerful. And these spawn really like it. With the scout move as well, they can scout onto a center objective on quarter deployments and sticky it pre-game, because let's not forget about sticky in his detachment. Really good. There's so much good stuff in this detachment. But the spawn are also just great skirmish units. They can go out, they can trade into stuff like scouts. They can drop a few mortal wounds on the way out as they die in melee. They're just, and they're also a fast unit for Death Guard. They move 8 inches. They got a scout, so if you get uninterrupted, you go first turn, you can move up to 14 inches. Really, really good. That kind of speed is just not something we really have. You can potentially advance 6 again, so you go up to 20-inch move now, get something in contagion, allow your bloat drones to shoot something to death turn 1. Really, really good. Then comes obviously the brick to Death Shroud. I don't need to tell you why Death Shroud are good at the moment. 6-inch charge is really good. You got a big 6 brick that likely starts on the board, bodyguarding the Demon Prince, just wanting to get into a staging position in the mid board. And then the 3-man goes with a lot of contagion, and they can sort of become a scalpel unit. They're gonna deep strike or even rapid ingress in sometimes when you need it, and they're gonna go and remove a big threat like a knight or some big tank, etc. 3 squads of Poxwalkers. Something's still got to hold our home objective, even we got sticky. You need screening. Poxwalkers do a great job. You've still got 2 to play with, so you can infiltrate. You can even string 1 unit out across 2 objectives, dog bone style as we call it. And if you do that and you get first turn, you instantly start the game with like 4 objectives stickied, and the pressure's fully on your opponent at that point to make something happen. And if you go second and you lose a unit of Poxwalkers, it was 60 points. I'm going to take the opportunity cost there. That's fine by me. Then, as the shooting package, we've also got 3 heavy blight launcher bloat drones. Virulent Vectorum makes these guys less unreliable as casino cannons, as we're sort of playing more and we're sort of finding out. They are very cheap, they're very good. The problem is, in other detachments, they're a bit casino cannon-y. You can always roll low shots. They're a bit unreliable in that way. In Virulent Vectorum, the ability to spend a command point and reroll the shots for not just one drone, but all of your multi-shot weapons, makes them a lot more reliable. So then you can reroll all the shots, you've got reroll hits from the Lord of Virulence. Now we're cooking, now we're talking about a reliable unit. So 3 of those guys in the detachment, absolute no-brainer. The kind of no-brainers in every detachment at the moment, but I think in Virulent Vectorum is where they really, really shine. And then a cheeky cheap is what I was trying to say. Mythic Blight Hall. This guy can come in from reserves if he wants to. He's got a nice lethal hit multi-melee. He hits on 2s naturally. He gets +1 to wound versus monsters and vehicles. He doesn't hit on 2s naturally, sorry. He hits on 3s with +1 to wound versus monsters and vehicles. But that's kind of what you want to be shooting. So realistically, he is kind of self-sufficient because as long as he's shooting the targets he wants to shoot, he's going to be +1 to hit, +1 to wound, which is really, really nice for him place to be. Because especially popping transports, a lot of the time he's going to hit on 2s, wound on 2s, they're probably not going to get a save and it's going to go clean through. I really like that about Blight Halls, and they're only 90 points, super cheap, doesn't really matter if you lose it, it's annoying to kill for its points, and it has the potential to one-bang vehicles with Melter. So overall, really, really solid list. Sad that you got the second, not the first for yourself, mate, but again, you were undefeated, there's nothing more you literally could have done there, so excellent work. Really happy to see someone taking the list that I sort of made in the detachment review and then just putting little tweaks on it, because I love seeing that, and he's managed to go and smash it. So well done, Vikas. And again, no doubt he's got a recap on his YouTube channel, Bloodbath Tactics. So if you want to check that out, go and check those guys out. Excellent work, Cass. Okay, next one. Okay, Mr. Don Houston is up next, our very own Mr. Don. He had to make the list. He went 7 wins and 1 loss at the Warhammer Open in Dallas, a 269 player super major, and he managed to take 8th place, 1 off the blessed number. I do apologize. He let us down on that one. If only he could have got that 7th place. Damn you, Don. So, for those who don't know, Don Houston is obviously a big name in Death Guard. If you knew, it's Don. It's the original Master Don Houston. And he's a massive part of our community at the moment. On our Discord, he's always active, always playing TTS games in there, always having a good time and chatting with people. And he took his staple. So, for people who don't know, Don is a massive tank fan. Don loves his tanks, he loves his crabs, and he obviously took Mortarian's hammer. It was basically made for the man. So, we've got 2 loan-up choices here. So we've got first up, the Lord of Virulence with a Tendrillus Emissions enhancement. So this enhancement gives this guy loan-up as long as he's within 3 inches of a friendly vehicle. In addition, those vehicles, whilst they're within 3 inches of him, can reroll 1s to wound. Pretty good, pretty good. Then, we're also rocking a Demon Prince of Nurgle, who's also got the loan up and the ability to make CP cost reductions. Now, I'm not sure if Don actually makes so much use out of the loan up here, because as we'll see, the Demon Prince of Nurgle only gets loan up when he's within 3 inches of infantry, and he's got 3 units of Death Shroud, but there isn't tons of, there's no Poxwalkers or anything like that. So Don could just be using this guy fairly safely in the middle of his tank castle. I think he's mainly taking it for the CP reduction here. But I could be wrong again, but that's going to be my assumption. But again, Don is in our Discord. If you guys want to come along and chat to him, feel free, break it all down from him. Then, 3 squads of 3 Death Shroud Terminators. So, these guys, as you can imagine, are not being led. Now, Don doesn't feel like they need leading. I kind of agree to a degree. I think Death Shroud for 140 points are very self-sufficient. They are more than happy to do what Don needs here, which is to clear off guys that are hiding behind walls. Anything that just wants to hide behind a wall and be a little coward, Don can drop in 3 of these guys, they go in, and 3 Death Shroud more than likely will kill most infantry squads that are on points, like, scouts, incursors, anything like that, intercessors, assault intercessors, anything sort of that level. You go into 1 wound models, you can obviously sweep, now you've got 24 attacks, you'll kill pretty much all of them. Really, really just super efficient, don't need the extra character in this because a lot of Don's damage is going to come from his vehicle package, and he doesn't need those heavy hitting characters in those squads. They are scalpel units for him to do what he needs to do with, whilst the rest of his list shoots you off the board. Now he's also rocking a unit of Chaos Spawn. Chaos Spawn, again, just a great utility piece. Having a scout piece, having a little bit that can just move out, trade into early things like scout squads, etc. Spawn, just really good at the moment for 80 points. Also fast, can do actions for him. So, the totally understandable inclusion in the list. 2 Predator Destructors. Don loves his Predators, always has. The ability to add additional AP onto this army, because basically if you shoot an infantry squad, well, non-vehicle, non-monster, apologies, you basically get army-wide +1 AP versus that target after the Predators stop shooting. This means you can set up things like your heavy blight launcher bloat drones. Your Defilers really like it because they're AP1 battle cannon, for example, and the AP1 heavy bolter. They really like going up to AP2. Obviously, then you put your opponent in contagion. Now they're effectively AP3. You can see how this kind of gets out of hand. Now these combine really well with the Defilers, who also then strip cover off a unit. So it's quite possible to have an infantry unit have +1 AP to be shot at, -1 toughness, -1 save, and now can't ever get the benefit of cover. So your army is going to easily be able to shoot that off the board. Now Don likes to take heavy bolters on his sponsons on his Predators, and his Defilers as well. He side up his Defilers. He likes the consistency. We've talked about how consistent those weapons are. Quite average, but will take 2 to 4 damage off vehicles, whereas las cannons have more potential ceiling. Yes, they are also more potential to do absolutely 0. So Don prefers to lean on the reliability of the Predators heavy bolters and the Defilers heavy bolters. But again, those two together work really nice to basically mark certain targets for death, because no cover, +1 extra AP, -1 save, -1 toughness. Just basically kills anything in the game. And he's got 2 Blight Haulers, 2 squads of 1. These guys are lovely. Little guys can go around. They're happy to do his actions for him. They're happy to stand on points. And again, that multi-melter, if he gets to connect, it's super self-sufficient. Hits on 2s, wounds on 2s and 4s, like 4s versus tough vehicles, 2s versus like transports, and 3s versus like your average battle tank. So again, really just a nice little package unit. Doesn't require too much synergy. Obviously likes getting Lord of Virulence buff, because then you hit on 2s rolling 1s. But it doesn't necessarily rely on them. So they're just good little 90-point demon engines. You can't really go wrong. Now, we've also got 1 Plague Burst Crawler here. So this 1 Plague Burst Crawler giving him the option of doing the indirect. Again, just sometimes you've left a model or a unit on like 2 wounds and they're starting to run away. Mortar can now pick it up. Or maybe, they've pulled behind a wall after they took some casualties. The mortar can shoot. And if your opponent all castles behind a wall, the ability to splash mortal wounds can also come up and be quite relevant, especially into MSU matchups, so multiple minimum-sized unit enemies, where you've got loads of like 5-man Eldar. They really don't like taking D3 mortal wounds. So just having one of these guys, it also got entropy cannon, so it can contribute to that hard-hitting firepower when you need it. But yeah, he's really enjoyed his 1. It was the debatable bit at first, but the more he's played with it, we know that Don has actually loved his little 1 Plague Burst Crawler. However, the one thing he's not loved that much is the heavy blight launcher bloat drones. As we kind of said and alluded to before, in Virulent Vectorum, they're very reliable. In Mortarian's Hammer, less so, because the amount of times you roll a 1 or a 2 on the shots, and now this Casino Cannon is kind of not putting out the output you need. Don has stated on our Discord that he actually much prefers the Predator Destructors because they are reliable. You know how many shots you're getting. You're getting 6 from the bolters, 6 from the auto cannon, or 4, depending on range. And then you've got all your little pot shots as well. The Blight Launchers are great, but they're just inconsistent, and when you're trying to be competitive, you kind of want a little bit more reliability on that, and Don would prefer to just go with like an extra Predator Destructor and some extra like scory stuff there. So again, interesting takes. A lot of the internet is a fire and saying these things are ultra broken, and they probably are a little undercosted, but the more that actual Death Guard players are playing these units, like, don't get me wrong, they'll have a game where they shoot a unit and absolutely eradicate like a 6-man Blade Guard, but I've had tons of times, I shot 2 of them with Lord of Virulence buff in Virulent Vectorum at a Rhino and didn't kill it. Like, they're not like God Slayers that the internet's making them out to be. They're very good, but they're not like insane. And I think a lot of people are starting to come around to that. But excellent work, Mr. Don. Again, congratulations on the 7 wins, 1 loss. And yeah, excellent finish at 8th place. Then we've got Adam Dye with 5 wins and 1 loss at the Bay Area Open, coming in at 4th place, a 175 player Super Major again. Another Mortarian's Hammer list, a little bit different to Don's here though. So we've got a Lord of Virulence with the same upgrade, the Tendrils Emissions. Then we've got a Tallyman and Typhus. So once again, Typhus here could potentially lead the Death Shroud squad that we've got. We've only got 1 squad of 3, but Typhus here could also be going solo depending on the mission. 1 squad Death Shroud, again, I'm going to assume it's more like a scalpel unit here, just kind of use it to remove certain tough opponents that are hiding behind walls or in certain areas. You mark Contagion, and also just having a unit of Death Shroud in Mortarian's Hammer always keeps your opponent honest, because at any point you could just pick a unit to be in Contagion and then 6-inch Deep Strike on it. So it makes screening out this army an absolute nightmare. Now he's got 3 squads of 10 Poxwalkers, something Don definitely didn't have. So he's got a lot of like infiltrating units that can sort of hold the points forward for him, so his tanks don't have to go out there as much, and also be able to, potentially screen, move, block, do actions, score points. Again, you don't have stickiness attachments, so you need something to stand on points, and hopefully the Poxwalker is going to help out with this here. Now, He went big on the Blight Haulers though. 6 Blight Haulers, 3 squads of 2, making the most out of that cheap, self-sufficient profile. Again, they're 180 points for 2 of those little guys. They're really self-sufficient because they can hit on 2s, wound on 3s, 4s at worst. 2s potentially against most targets they want to shoot, and they're just a pain in the ass to kill. Don't forget, these guys also have the smoke keyword, so they can be -1 to be hit. You can give them stealth, which is really nice for them to get, again, 180 point models for 2 has now just become even more annoying to shift, and that's not the worst of it. There's 3 of those guys. There's also 3 bloat drones with mowers and 3 heavy blight launcher bloat drones. This is spamming our cheap holes, which are probably too cheap. I won't even lie about that. And just spamming them to the max. There's 6 bloat drones, and then there is 6 blight holes. That is 12 90-point demon engines you have to deal with. That is horrendously stat checky against most armies. And on top of that, you've still got 2 defilers at the back, blasting away with las cannons and battle cannon, stripping cover for your bloat drones, stripping cover for your blight haulers, and then the blight haulers are up there putting out contagion, getting in the way, killing some objectives with the mowers. Really good pressure list, using the most out of our cheap hulls at the moment. Do expect the hull cost to go up for our demon engines, but right now, make the most of it while you can, and an excellent showing from Adam Dye. Congratulations on the 4th place finish with the 5 wins and 1 loss. And if I remember right, when I was making this video, his loss was by a single point as well. So extremely unlucky there, Adam, but excellent work. Well done, mate. You have done Nurgle proud. And last up today, we're looking at Joe Norman. He went 4 wins and 1 loss at Midwest Conquest GT, 71 player event. He took 8th place. Now, Joe was not the highest ranked Death Guard player here, but what he was the highest ranked Champions of Contagion player. 1 Biology Putrefier, 2 Lords of Contagion, a Lord of Poxes with the Cornucophagus. Also, no final ingredient, Joe. Very disappointed. No final ingredient. Very, very disappointed. So, 2 Malignant Playcasters though, one of them rocking Divisions of Virulence, which I'm going to guess was just some spare points. That's the one that gives him the extra range. Then you've got the Tallyman as well. CP is always good. This is a CP hungry detachment, doesn't have a Demon Prince, so you need to at least have a Tallyman in there. Then we've got 2 squads of Plague Marines, one of them being a very Daka squad with the Plasma Guns, the Blight Launchers, and the other one being a very melee squad with lots of heavy Plague Weapons and bubotic weapons as well. So I'm going to assume the bubotic weapons went with the Lord of Poxes and the Biology Putrefier in an attempt to basically go, and maybe 1 play caster each, I could see that as well. And those guys were out there to just go and absolutely punch something's head in. Lord of Poxes having Cornucophagus means they could be -1 save, -1 to hit permanently. Really, really nasty little squad there. Then you've also got the potential to go Biology Putrefier and Malignant Plague Caster in the other squad. So those guys can rock around with the, all the shooting potential buffs that they can get. Then you've got a squad of Chaos Spawn as well. We talked about a good spawn hour already. We don't need to go over it again. Really, really nice. Now, bear in mind all these Plague Marines and these Death Shroud in this list, because we've got 2 squads of 6 Death Shroud Terminators here, can all also be +2 toughness on demand and crit 5s on demand. So you can have all of these squads of Death Shroud and Plague Marines. Plague Marines go to T8, Death Shroud go to T9. Really hard to deal with at that point there. Those are some horrendous stat break points in the game. But the important bit is being able to give crit 5 to these Lord of Contagion led Death Shroud units. You now have these units that are going to be sustained lethal crit 5s with Lance. They will kill anything they touch. Quite literally anything they touch here. So that's going to add a lot of power to this list. 2 huge scary bricks that kill literally anything they touch. 2 big bits of Plague Marines that are going to do a lot of damage to anything. One of them being melee, so you need to deal with that first, because you don't want that to connect, but at the same time the Death Shroud are here now, so now worried about that. So real scary, real scary. Now we've also got a squad of 3 heavy bloat drones, not a squad, sorry, 3 units of heavy bloat drones. Again, just a cheap, efficient shooting platform. They've got a lot of Virulence in here to help out on the reliability. The Lord of Virulence looks like he's going to be going solo most of the time here. I don't imagine any Lord of Contagions going solo, but I can imagine a lot of Virulence going solo, because once again he can drop in, he can do an action, score some points, and still point at a target to mark for death for the bloat drone. So I imagine that's his role in this list here. But again, he's also just a great unit. If you were against like loads of hordes, like say you were against like Gaunt spam, you might not need a lot of Contagion in a squad because you're just going to kill everything anyway in melee. So you could put him in there so you can reroll all your flamer shots. So you just make sure you kill 2 units a turn, one with your guns and then one with your melee. There is the option there, but most of the time I can see the Lord of Uranus coming in as a solo piece in this detachment. Now, one interesting thing I do want to make note of here is the fact that this actually doesn't run any rhinos, which is quite interesting. Now, the Lord of Poxes obviously gives this squad Lord of 18, but that's still not really going to protect you from too much. Lord of 18 is a lot worse than 12. And I normally would say that, you know, a walking Plague Marine is a dead Plague Marine, but I imagine the play here is to play fairly conservative until the turn when all of the Death Shroud come down, because then having 2 squads of Plague Marines, 2 squads of Death Shroud exposed at the same time, I imagine the immediate threat is the Death Shroud. They're in your opponent's face, they're 6 inches away, whereas the Plague Marines might get away unscathed because of that. And again, if they do shoot the Plague Marines, then who cares, because the Death Shroud then gets to run free. So even though there is no rhinos here, and I would normally recommend rhinos, Joe has found the angle to make it work. Clearly, he got 4 wins and 1 loss, really good showing. And maybe there's a consideration that if we're going for such threat overload at the moment, that maybe you can skimp out those rhinos. So just food for thought there. It's an interesting one, but it's a really cool list. I do like the Champions of Contagion. He still has access to full rolls to hit and wound in this attachment as well, so let's not forget that. So any of these units is literally capable of killing pretty much anything in the game. Full rolls to hit and wound with 5+ crits across an entire squad is incredibly insane. So, and this works in melee as well. So bear in mind, Champions of Contagion has a lot more melee support than it does in Virulent Vectorium, where it's more shooty support than melee support. So a very cool list, a very pressure heavy list, and I hope to see him continue to do well, and hope to see more Champions of Contagion lists. But yeah, I just wanted to point out here a quick little Champions of Contagion list for you guys. Hope you guys, you know, who are enjoying Champions of Contagion can take something from this one. Alright, that brings us to the end of this one. So there's 4 interesting different Death Guard lists for you. Again, this will probably be a weekly one for a bit while we get all the excitement out of the way. Want to see some Taliban guys, so get out there and play with Taliban. I want to see some Shamble Rot. I want to see all of the detachments. So make sure if you are playing them detachments, get out there and get those results in. So I just want to say a thank you to everyone that's watching. Thank you to all our Death Shroud members that are on the screen right now. Thank you guys so much. You guys really help. Massive support. I didn't think we'd have this many. I thought we'd be like 5 or something. You guys are insane. But you are on the screen right now, so thank you so much. Check out our friends over at Vanguard Tactics for more strategies and battle report videos, all that kind of good stuff. If you want to buy some product in the UK, go to Element Games, use our affiliate link in the description below. You can get yourself some extra crystals. We get extra crystals, everyone wins. Check out our friends at Saltire Games as well if you want to pick up some disgustingly resilient themed gaming aids. We do also have our own dice on Baron of Dice, all in the description below. We've got masterclass courses on the Vanguard Tactics that me and Dave did, all that good stuff. So check them out if you're interested. But last but not least, thank you to our other YouTube members, and thank you as well for watching, you, the viewer, the listener. I hope you enjoyed it. I will catch you all on the next stream/video. Take care for now. I'll see you all very shortly. Stay rotten. Bye-bye.